everyone, welcome back to Math Mechanics. Today we are exploring one of the most fundamental properties in mathematics, that is the commutative property of real number. This is one of the 6 videos I'll be discussing about the properties of real number. So what are real numbers? If you can recall in my previous video where we talk about real numbers, we said real numbers are everywhere. Real numbers include all the numbers we use in our everyday life, such as your natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, and the irrational numbers. You see, this real number follows specific properties that help us solve mathematical expression easily. So, to work effectively with real numbers, we need to understand their properties and how they behave under the arithmetic operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So, what are the properties of real numbers? The properties of real number include, but are not limited to, the commutative property, associative property, distributive property, identity property, inverse property, and closure property. But in this video, we will be discussing just the commutative property of real numbers. As I said earlier, this is one of the 6 videos I'll be discussing the properties of real numbers. So watch out for the 5 other videos where I'll be discussing the other properties of real numbers I have just mentioned in the previous slide. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my math lessons. So what is the commutative property? The commutative property tells us that the order in which you add or multiply two numbers does not change the result. And this property applies to the addition and multiplication. So the commutative property tells us that the order in which you add or multiply two real numbers does not affect the final result. So in commutative property, the order doesn't matter for addition and multiplication. Let us look at the commutative property for addition. According to the commutative property, we have A plus B is equals to B plus A, where A and B are real numbers. For example, example 1, if A is 23 plus our B and B is 15, so it's equal to B. B is 15 plus A, which is 23. 23 plus 15 will give us 38. And 15 plus 23 is also 38. So both addition gives the result 38. So it doesn't matter whether we add 23 to 15 or 15 to 23. The sum is always 38. Let's take another example. Example 2, 0 plus 12 is equals to 12 plus 0. Our answer here is 0 plus 12 is 12 equals to 12 plus 0 is also 12. So you can see both addition also give us the result 12. Notice here that adding 0 doesn't change the result either. And we will dive deeper into this when we talk about the identity property in a future video. Now let's talk about the commutative property for multiplication. The commutative property for multiplication states that A multiply B is equals to B multiply A, where A and B are real number. So if we say, if we take for example 1, where our A is 4 multiplied by B, where our B is 5, is equals to 5 multiplied by 4. So 4 multiplied by 5 is 20 equals to 5 multiplied by 4 is also 20. So both multiplication give us the result 20. Let's take another example. Example 2. Here we have 7 multiplied by 0 is equals to 0 multiplied by 7. 7 multiplied by 0 is 0 equals to 0 multiplied by 7 is also 0. So both multiplication also give us 0. You can see that even when one of the numbers is 0, the commutative property holds truth. Multiplying 0 by any number always gives 0, no matter the order. Now, what about the commutative property for subtraction and division? Now, here is an important question. Does the commutative property apply to subtraction and division? The answer is no. So let's see the reason why. For example, for subtraction, where is A minus B is not equal to B minus A. For example, we have 9 minus 3 is not equal to 3 minus 9, because 9 minus 3 is 6 and 3 minus 9 is minus 6. So subtraction does not follow the commutative property. For division, A divided by B is not equal to B divided by A, except when A is equal to B. Example, for division, if our A is 8 divided by 2 is not equal to 2 divided by 8, because 8 divided by 2 is 4 and 2 divided by 8 is not 0.25. So subtraction and division does not follow the commutative property. I want you to note that this is a key distinction for us to keep in mind as you work with real number. You might be wondering, why is the commutative property so important? The commutative property, for one, helps us simplify our calculation. Imagine you have a long equation. The commutative property allows you to rearrange the terms to make our calculation easier. So, if, for instance, instead of calculating 23 plus 48 plus 77, you can regroup it as 23 plus 77 plus 48, which might make us feel more intuitive. It makes it more easier because we know that 23 plus 77 is 100 plus 48, which is equals to 148. 2. The commutative property is one of the foundations of algebra. When we are working with variables in algebra, as we shall see in our future video, the commutative property ensures that you can rearrange the terms without changing the result. For example, x plus y is equals to y plus x. Also, the commutative property helps us in real-world applications. I want you to think of tasks like organizing items, calculating totals, or even coding. Understanding this cumulative property makes this process more efficient. A quick recap. All right, let's quickly recap what we've learned today. The commutative property states that the order doesn't matter for addition and multiplication. For addition, we have a plus b is equals to b plus a. For multiplication, is a multiplied b is equals to b multiplied by a. But for subtractions and division are not commutative, and the commutative property simplifies calculations, forms the foundations for algebra, and it has a real-world applications. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Maths Mechanics, and let me know in the comment what is your favorite real number property. Love to hear from you. See you in the next video where we will be exploring the associative properties of real number. Until then, keep learning and stay blessed. Thank you. Bye.